Hello, 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 and welcome to Rainbows Rising, where we ascend together. I'm your host, Rainbow Raaja, and I have a remarkable guest on today. You have been listening to her music this entire season, and a little bit from last season as well. Today I have Chakuna Machi Asa, and she is just a remarkable artist, a musical artist. She makes these incredible chants that are great for meditation. They're great for collaboration. They're just great for background music while you're writing your next novel. Welcome, welcome, Chakuna. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited to be on your podcast. I've listened to it a lot and I just love it. I love how interactive it is and how you're really helping people to more deeply connect with themselves. And so I'm really
Oh,
excited to be
thank
here.
you.
You're
Thank you so
welcome.
much. I love hearing the feedback. It means so much to me. And I'm so glad that you are benefiting from the show as well, that you're enjoying it and that you're using it for your own practice. That means it means the world to me. So thank you so much. And it is such an honor to have you on. I know that you've been nominated for awards for your music and that you're getting some recognition for your music and where all the work you've been doing. I know I've been sharing your music with our listeners, and I have been listening off air to your music for my own meditation purposes, and I can't get enough of it. I really just can't.
I'm so excited about my newest album, Auroral Magic. And I know that's the one that you've been playing more on the podcast right now. You said The Wind
That's
is
our
a
intro.
song that, which is, one of my favorite songs. One of the things that I do is I stand outside, for meditation and I let the wind kind of blow through my body and my energy. That's kind of the inspiration behind that song. It's kind of like when I do this meditation, I kind of stand on the earth and really ground myself and just open my energy up to the earth and nature and listen to all the sounds around me. And I can feel the energy of the wind just flowing through my body, almost like it's not going around me. Like I start to feel like it's just blowing right straight through, and
I
it
know
just
exactly
carries
how you're,
like
yeah, I've had
yeah, it
that.
just carries away like any tension that I have in my body. And I kind of feel like that's always been something I've practiced regularly since I first started getting into this, doing spiritual work in my late teens. I just intuitionally was guided to kind of to do that and to connect in that way. And so that's kind of the inspiration behind that song, The Wind, is that meditation that I do.
That sounds amazing. I know I spent a lot of time in California. That's where I was born and raised. And when those Santa Ana winds come through, I loved standing outside. Like everybody hated how messy your hair got, but I loved
Well,
it because I there's something about the wind. I've always been able to hear messages on the wind. The
mm-hmm.
trees speak when the wind rustles their leaves.
Mm-hmm.
You can really kind of at least I can hear their messages. I can hear the news from other places.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just so much wisdom in just listening and feeling that wind.
Mm-hmm.
To hear that you use the wind to clear your energy and to clear
Mm-hmm.
your body, like that's so therapeutic to hear because
Mm-hmm.
I don't hear people connecting to the earth like that much anymore.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a lot of disconnect. So I'm
Yeah, that's
assuming that earth has been, just I guess the elements even has been a huge inspiration for your music.
Yeah, my whole album, I definitely feel like, and that's what I've been trying to do, on my Instagram and with this new moon box, that I just launched around Valentine's Day is, teaching people how to create crystal grids, and connecting to the crystals and the minerals into the earth in that way. And then also making earth offerings is a huge part of what I do for my spiritual practice now. And and it's, making earth offerings is kind of in a lot of different traditions. And so that's kind of why I've been drawn to it more again lately, is because I just feel like making offerings in general, it's a huge part of religion and spirituality and shamanic practices and the ancient Native American practices and, all the different indigenous traditions. They have a kind of a similar practice in that way. And so that's kind of what I've been trying to teach other people. And so in this moon box that I have instructions on how to do basic earth offerings, not really any particular spiritual tradition or any religion based. It's kind of just taking everything that I've learned over time, which, I minored in religion at Michigan State. And so, I kind of weave in the different things that I've learned. And also in the spiritual tradition, the Chakuna tradition that I learned with Peruvian shamanism, I take kind of a little bit of everything. Even Reiki, I'll sometimes do like some Reiki energy in my earth offerings and stuff. So I like to, at this point in time, I'm just trying to give that information to other people so it can benefit them.
I really appreciate that. I know a lot of people are trying to move away from offerings because there's been a lot of difficulty, especially when we had like all the human offerings and all the animal offerings for in certain belief systems for a long time. And when people hear offerings, it can be a little standoffish. But I know when I do offerings, I'm not the best at making food because that's a common one, is either like salt or sugar or rice. I'm just not the best at preparing food, and I'm like, I have kids, I don't want to waste food. So for me, I go out, I'm like, I got bears in my backyard, I don't want to feed the bears. I go
Definitely
out and I sing, and I've told spirit, I've told my guides, I will create art and I will sing, and that is my offering to you. I will literally go out and just dance and sing just for you guys. And that's my form of offering. I found that has been the most beneficial for connecting with my guides.
Yeah, there's a lot of different categories of energies that you're feeding, when you go to make an offering. And one of them is, and that is something I include in the instructions in my moon boxes. One of them is the song and the chant. And even if you have nothing to offer, one of my spiritual teachers taught me, you can leave a piece of your hair, it's your DNA, or something like your nail, or like you said, the chants, obviously, like something that is just birthed in that moment.
Finding a special rock.
That's
finding
special,
a leaf or a pine cone, but it has to be something special that stands out at you, and you just hold it in your hands, you just put that energy in it, you
put
just
the prayers in.
Yeah.
I mean, prayer
lighting
is
a fire
huge,
too.
Sacred ceremony, fire ceremony. That's a great way to do offerings.
That's great. I'm so glad that you're assembling these, I guess, these little boxes to teach people about the different ways to invite spirit into their life, to connect with spirit, to connect with their guides. And
and then
I
also
know that's I guess it's, for me, I see that as like mostly a pagan practice, or more of like a, like Norse Celtic-y practice. But you're right, it is very much in a lot of different belief systems all around the world. I think that's great that you're sharing that. Are you including, history or different information on these practices in the boxes?
Not exactly, but I do, like I said, I'm doing the, information on how to make the crystal grids. And, also one of the things that's included in the box is that I donate money from the proceeds to plant 10 trees for each box. So it's almost like you're also actually connecting your energy by purchasing a box, to the actual earth by birthing these new trees. You're helping that.
That's
So it's
so
like you're
awesome.
connected to these trees when they're being planted. So you're actually rooting yourself, energetically at
That's
that point in time
amazing.
too. Yeah.
I
So
love that. I
I'm
love that.
excited about that.
So, back to your music, back to your passion.
Yes.
Um, you were generous enough to share your albums with me so I could go through and listen.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you have a lot of chanting. You have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of chanting in your albums. Chanting seems to be very much a baseline for the rest of the music
Mm-hmm.
that you're creating. How did you, I guess, how did you come into contact with chanting? How did that
Mm-hmm.
become, the foundation of your music? Because you have some
Yeah.
lyrics here and there, but really it very much is just the the monotone
Mm-hmm.
tones and chanting. It's so relaxing, so relaxing.
Yeah. So when I was in middle school was my first kind of experience with my voice and my ability to sing. It was kind of like a snap of the fingers change in how I felt inside my body. I feel like it was definitely a spiritual experience. I was having a lot of trouble in school at that point in time, not with grades and such, but like with my friends. Like it's a difficult age. I was being teased, and I have had other traumas in my past with sexual assault and um, abuse. And so, I think that I was in a lot of pain at this point in my life, basically. And I was in choir class and we were singing the Christmas song. Um, and I just had this all of a sudden feeling like God was with me. Like it was this feeling like I didn't even know I could sing. And then all of a sudden all of my pain started melting away during this song while I was singing.
Wow.
And I just felt better, like soothed by my own singing, and so that was kind of this snap of a finger shift inside me. And at that point, I feel like I knew on some level that this was going to be part of my life, that singing and music, everything to do with that, and was going to be how I helped other people, in the future. And then, later in my life, I got into studying shamanic healing and Reiki healing. And I, um, became part of a tradition, a shamanic Peruvian tradition that wove my energy in. And so I had a lot of time where I was meditating and in these spiritual circles. I just sort of all of a sudden that came back to me, that kind of feeling where like this now is the time to like move my energy forward in a new way, and so I just started singing at these, spiritual circles. And I think I really got connected to how I can use that moment in early in my life and how I can use that to help other people now. At that point in time, that was what I was thinking, is like, this is what it's going to be. It's going to be a spiritual process, because that's what it was for me when it came to me in the first place, when the gift of music, entered my life. It was spiritual for me. And so that's what I always kept inside my mind. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to put forth into my music. And so any of my CD albums that I do, I just open myself up and I ask to be guided for what's going to be healing for the listeners,
Mm.
even to get like the kind of focus for my album before I start doing it. That helps me get focused on what it is that people need, what it is that's going to help them. And so, that's Yeah, so that's
I have a
basically
really
how all of them
similar
are birthed.
process. I have a really
Yeah.
similar process when I work with clients. You know,
Hmm.
I do intuitive song for like the whole session practically.
Yes.
And I open up at the beginning, I call in their guides, I call in my guides, working
Hmm.
in sacred
Yeah.
space, and whatever comes up. And sometimes I'm doing it, I'm like, this sounds so ridiculous. But the person, they'll point those ridiculous parts out and they're like, that part was the part that really hit me the most in my
Yes.
heart. And I'm like, really? Like, okay,
Hmm.
hey, man, they know what they're doing.
And that's something I learned like when I was doing when I first started doing the shamanic chanting and the chants in general is that um and within now that I've learned that within my lineage even I feel like that is something that has been done for thousands and thousands of years where the present moment is one of the most powerful healing sources that we have, and that's what I try to bring forth in my music, with especially with my chants, because there's something about birthing something in the moment that you're with someone
Mm,
that is really powerful because it's like if you're in the present moment in that space
mhm.
and you're harnessing that energy for them, it like activates them on that same level, if that makes sense.
It
That's what I
does.
feel like I've come to with that. So,
Yeah. I know listening to your music, it takes me away. I could be awake, I could be doing whatever I'm doing, but there's just something about your music that takes me to that rock next to the stream or whatever,
yeah.
like in the wind one,
Mm-hmm.
I literally feel like I'm floating
Oh.
through, like swirling through space.
Mm-hmm.
And I found your music to be so helpful going to bed, and I use it for meditation. And as I told you before the show, when I have certain times that I do like ritualistic baths where I just like make a special little potion in my bath. I'm like, okay, we're gonna clear some energy out of my
Yeah.
life right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I was listening to your chakra CD, and it's so easy just to like zone out into it.
Mm-hmm.
But I found myself, because I do so much singing myself, I found myself toning with you. And I was releasing so much energy in my body, just collaborating, just doing that like
Absolutely.
synchronized chanting with you.
That's awesome.
And I really encourage the listeners to go out and find that album, or maybe in the future I'll put that album on the thing, and collaborate with it so you guys can hear it. But like that was so helpful for me, just singing alongside you and being with you in each chakra, because I could literally,
Mm-hmm.
as I'm chanting with you, I
Yeah.
could feel that chakra being activated. And
Mm-hmm.
I was getting memories and I was getting
Yeah.
visuals and I was feeling waves and waves of just
Mm-hmm.
things just shedding off of me. And it
Mm-hmm.
it was like I was in there for over an hour. My
Yes.
partner's like, knock, knock. Are you okay? What's going on in there? Why are you singing?
I
But
love that. That's awesome. I do, I encourage everybody, not everybody likes to chant on their own, and that's cool because I still think you can get something really amazing from just listening.
Mhm.
But it does take it to another level when you can, you know, bring the sound from down inside you and just it vibrates like every part of your being,
It
and
does.
so
It
like i
does.
i really encourage everybody to try to just do an intuitive thing. You don't have to do it loud, you don't have to do it like on the same note as me, like just kind of like
Yep.
pick the note that you feel is good, like, and that's the universe, you know moving through you then,
Hmm.
so
Now,
I
you
like
you
that.
guys listening, I'm sure you guys have known that earlier this month I did some chanting. We're going to, just go ahead, join me in that, go back to that episode, and just try and match it. Just try and match
Mhm.
it. And That's all I did with yours. I started to
Yes.
match it, and then once I got
Hmm.
comfortable matching, just
Yeah.
like doing the same tone. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Hmm.
You guys don't have to
Right.
match the breath.
Yep.
I wasn't matching her breath in any way.
Hmm.
Sometimes she was starting and I was finishing, you know.
Right.
But yeah, so it's, just it really is just allowing your body to become this like a hollow, a
Like a
hollow,
healing portal.
like
Yes.
a little, just a hollow just
Yes.
object.
Uh-huh.
Everything's just kind of vibrating around in there. You can feel it all the way down to your legs and fingertips.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's sort of like reprogramming your DNA even, it's kind of just vibrating the essence of who you are.
It's getting so relaxed that literally you're just like, oh, and you can feel it everywhere. It's just great. So
Yes.
great. And if you guys haven't tried it, please do. Like chanting, even chanting just like a mantra or an
Absolutely.
affirmation like, I am awesome.
Yes. Yeah, it doesn't have to be, something super serious. Like you can make it playful and fun. And, I mean, that's what it's all about, you know?
It
It's
is.
about bringing your energy to a higher level. And sometimes that is in the play.
So in your music, are you just intuitively choosing or just intuitively being guided through these chants and these different, I guess, these different
Hmm.
phrases that you're using, or are these known phrases that you had acquired through your own research and through your own study?
No, I just generally do intuitive chanting
Okay.
and allow whatever vowels or sounds to come through. I prefer that. There's a level to which, sometimes I hesitate to, I don't want, to confuse people with is it associated with a particular religion or is it associated with a particular tradition or if you
Even a
all of a sudden
particular
chant if I'm all of a
language.
sudden chanting Om or Allah or does that mean that you know I'm associated with that? I'm not. You know what I mean? I'm just allowing things to come through.
Hmm.
And I am in full trust that whatever comes through, if I've set my intention for that to be healing for the listener,
Hmm.
that is what is intended and that is what, will manifest for the listener,
Yeah,
So,
I know that there's some people, especially in really strict spiritual practices,
mhm,
that genuinely believe that chanting the mantras, chanting the specific chants is the
mhm,
only way to go about any kind of chanting practice.
mhm.
Now I've done both. I've done the mantras and the phrases and
Yeah.
even gone through the chakras, which I'm sure you guys have already heard me
Mhm.
do.
Yeah.
But I have found that intuitive chanting allows you to reach areas in your body you didn't know sound could reach.
Mhm.
And I have found, I mean, I have a guide, or at some point when I'm at a deep enough state, I have this throat singing that comes through that is deep, so deep that
Mhm.
when people
Yeah.
hear it, they don't think it's me doing it. They think it's some
Right.
dude. And it's
Yes.
it's me. I just
Yes.
drop, like I can feel it in my body how deep I
Mhm.
am in
Yeah.
the earth, and I can feel, I like to believe it's a guide or an ancestor coming in. I can
Mhm.
feel him. I
Absolutely.
can feel him in my body, and I know what he's doing. I can feel like the purpose of what he's doing, and I
Mhm.
wouldn't be able to do that and the cool angelic singing that I'm capable
Mhm.
of doing if I wasn't just feeling it and allowing it to happen and move through me like a river.
Absolutely. Yes. I definitely feel like you said, there is a time and a place for, and I totally, support people that are mantra specific,
Mm.
with their chants. Um, in different traditions. I feel like that what works for one person isn't going to always work for someone else. And so
Absolutely.
we have to honor and respect that, in that everybody has a
It's
different
a
thing
good
that is going to
confidence
work
builder,
for
though.
them. Right. And so, but yes, the intuitive chanting, that if you don't have a particular mantra or something, that is definitely a very powerful way to start to learn how to chant.
I know when I first started chanting, I started with the chakras. I started with, you know, um, the Kuan Yin chant,
Hmm.
Om Mani Padme Om Mani.
Absolutely.
And
Hmm.
I think there's Ganesh. I have Ganesh's chant. So I memorized a handful of these Indian
Yes.
chants and
Hmm.
a couple of the chakra chants
Right.
um, and I would chant them. I used to have a two hour commute in my car every day, and I would chant them
Hmm.
2 hours to work, 2 hours home. And I think it really did help vocally train my body in
Hmm.
holding breath and breathing properly. So if you're
Absolutely.
somebody who struggles to hold a note for a long span of time, you find your voice
Hmm.
cracking, just practicing those super simple lam, vam,
Yes.
ram,
Absolutely. Hmm.
and just moving through your chakras, clearing things out. Um,
Yeah, I definitely think like just even the vowel system
mhm.
in the English language, A, E, I, O, ooh, that's, I spent a lot of my years in choir and for warming up, it's always, and for strengthening your vocals, you come to the vowels and so
Yep.
in my chants, I do use a lot of that because I definitely feel like it's a really pure tone, and so you're basically vibrating a really pure energy,
Hmm.
on a particular note when you're using a basic vowel. And so that's what I tend to come back to a lot of times in my own chants. Yeah.
Yeah. I know a lot of energy modalities that utilize sound. Like in Reiki, you can use the Reiki, things as
Hmm.
chants themselves. And when I was
Yes.
taught it, it was taking off the harsh consonants and just using the vowels. And
Hmm.
I used the Reiki chants before, that was actually the energy that brought me into the intuitive chant was doing the Reiki chants just for
Hmm.
myself, just sitting with a singing bowl. And I would be
Yes.
like, "Eh, yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah," and then suddenly I would go on a tangent. It was after
Yeah.
several times practicing that, but it was just opening up that energy and the
Hmm.
circuit. It just like started a whole new thing, and it was just really interesting feeling that transition in my body and feeling how that opened up the possibility for more.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. As you open up to, the simple chants, more of the energy comes through, like,
Yeah.
as you get in more of a deep meditative state.
So this question that I have for you is more on like I'm personally curious about this. I notice a lot of your music has nature sounds. Like
Yeah.
so much of your music has like these incredible nature sounds
Hmm.
that I know when I go outside, I'm like, I'm gonna go get some nature sounds. It just doesn't work. How are you able to capture these like they're clear sounds. They're so pure and clear.
Hmm.
You don't hear car traffic in the background. You don't hear children playing on the playground. How are you able to capture that music? I know that's not chanting related, but like
Right.
I would
No,
love to know how you do
I
that.
try to use like a lot of pure recordings. Some of the things that I do though are keyboard, so like I have the sounds on my keyboard that have a bunch of different voices. And so I'll record like the voice of, the rain or something like through the keyboard into the mic.
Oh,
So, I mean, it's just like, it's all part of the artistry, of recording an album,
that's really cool.
is picking different pieces and putting them all together and making them into this piece of art for healing, for the listener.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Thank
Yeah, because
you.
I know the one of my favorite parts about like the wind and those songs,
Yes. Hmm.
especially on Auric Magic, that whole
Oh,
album.
yeah, yeah.
There's a lot of nature sounds, like birds singing in the background and
Hmm.
the sound of the river or the stream. And
Actually, you brought up the wind. The wind sound is actually my voice.
yeah, I figured as much. I just, it's
Yeah.
so, it's just, it really hits. I get the chill
Yeah.
down the back of my neck
Mm.
when I'm listening to it. I just, I love that. But like, I'm just like, does she sit on a rock with a recorder? Like, how is she getting these animal sounds? It's so beautiful. Uh, your
Thank you.
your artistry in creating, it's so quiet and
Thank
yet
you.
so, like, your audio is so clean.
Thank you.
And
Yeah,
I know you
I
kind of
don't
have a
have
lo-fi setup, right? You kind of have a lo-fi setup if we're being a little, little bit, little bit.
you know what? I try to do my best to, I don't have, I'm hoping at some point I'm going to have, a higher tech studio.
Hmm.
But I actually just use foam padding and,
Hmm.
I kind of surround my mic so that it keeps out other sounds. I'll try to do it at quiet points during the day to record, and use good microphone. But yeah, I try to just kind of let flow what comes through and, keep the sound as pure as I can.
I have to say, for somebody who just has foam around a microphone, your music is, I mean, I'm not even trying to like boast about it. It's just,
Thank you.
it's, I'm really amazed when I listen. I'm like, how does she do it? It's so quiet and calm, and yet, like, the sound is so wholesome. It's just so
Yeah, thank you.
full. I don't know how I can have all of those things when they cross each other out, but I promise you guys, go listen to her music. I will have some at the end of this podcast for you, I'm sure. Go listen to the other episodes. Her music has been at the beginning and end of every episode this season.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm just really glad that you're able to join us today and talk about your process and
Thank
how
you.
chanting has been, beneficial for you. Um, in your own like practice, your own private practice, do you find yourself using chanting, um, like for any particular reason?
Um, you know, Through the years that I have been doing sound healing with people directly,
Hmm.
or in circles, um, I definitely find that it brings about an energy of authenticity. When I use the present moment to intertwine that with the power of the vibration of the sounds, it people have told me that it it makes them feel like a veil has been lifted from them, and so um, I've used I'm certified in Reiki drumming. And so I use a really low beat drum, like a heartbeat,
Hmm.
and really slow rhythmic, over the person's body. Or, in the room, I'll go around the room and, do the drum beat over people's heads, so that the vibrations can really get into their energy field. Um, I think I answered your question.
Yeah, yeah. So it sounds like you're, besides using it for other people, you're
Mhm.
also kind of using it for yourself and holding that space for yourself to
Absolutely.
like sit in
Yeah.
that vibration.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
you're a little modest about how you're utilizing it for yourself, but it sounds like
Oh,
you
yeah.
get a lot of benefit out of it on your
Oh,
own.
definitely. Yeah. I mean, I use it in my personal meditation, just to really ground and center my own energy and connect with the earth. I do the chants regularly. Sometimes I even listen to my own CD albums, so
Hey,
that I
no shame
can,
in that. I listen to your
right?
CD albums too.
it helps ground my energy, like I'll listen to the chakra one, just go through each chakra. And every single time that I find that I listen to it, that it's different. Like, all of a sudden a new layer will be like unveiled, so like this is healing for me, like to even do like create the music. Like sometimes, like I know on my Moon Eye album, I'm in the middle of creating one of the songs and I just feel it so much. I'm like
I
crying,
love that album, by the way.
while I
I
create it.
love
Thank
that Moon Eye
you.
album. It is so good. It's like a lot more like fairy like, right? There's like
hmm
a lot more kind
I've
of like,
got it's a lot of drumming and
yeah.
some really pure tone chants to get into the person's energy and activate them, like on a more ancient level.
Yeah.
I bring forth, even with my Auroral Magic, my new CD album, I'm always trying to tap into like this ancient energy, my ancestral energy and the helper guides that, are in my DNA lineage, and bring that forth. And so it's healing, just creating the music for the listener. Absolutely.
Yeah. I feel that when I'm listening to it. I really do. I'm really glad to hear that you listen to your own music because like I'll make recordings for clients because people come to me. I do the live session, I do the
Yeah.
healing for them, and then I have to listen back to see if there's anything I have to edit out. Right?
Right.
I'm listening back and I'm like, that doesn't sound like me at all. Hey, that's pretty good. I can listen to this, right? I'm like, man, that sounds so arrogant. I wonder if anybody else feels this way. I know Johnny
Right.
Depp doesn't like to watch himself in his own movie.
I've heard that some people don't like to, even rewatch their interviews. They
Yep.
never like rewatch, like some actors and actresses, they never rewatch the show they were on or something.
Yep.
But listen, I like to be really engaged when I'm doing what I'm doing. And like, I want to see it from both sides. You know what I mean? Like it's, if it's feeling healing from the inside, like I want to see and feel like what it feels like from the outside too. Right. I mean,
I know as when I started my podcasting journey, I had zero experience. I had never listened to a podcast in my life. And I
mhm.
started on this. I was like, I'm just going to do this because my guides told me to. So I started doing the podcast and I had to listen back. And that was the hardest part at the beginning was listening back. I
Mhm.
was like, I've always hated my voice. I have this deep
Yeah.
guy voice. What is wrong?
No.
And so I grew into it though. I was like, I
Yeah.
don't have to watch my face.
Mhm.
I had an issue watching my face
Yeah.
and listening to myself. I was like, you know what? This is actually kind of relaxing. And
Right.
wait a second, did I just say that? That was like really insightful.
It
Man,
gives you more,
I was on a
right.
roll.
It gives you more confidence to keep putting yourself forth because as you and I have talked about, when you've been through traumas in your life and things
Yep.
that, just really make you feel like you're worthless, like
Mhm.
trauma does that, people that treat you a way that makes you feel like in that moment you did not matter at all,
Yep.
like that stays with you. And so going back to the whole watching yourself, like it's okay, I think it's okay and it's good for you to feel like this, feel it from the outside because then you're reassured
Yeah.
that this is going to help somebody else.
I don't think I've told this story yet, but I think it's important to share because I don't think I've covered it. But when
Mhm.
I was younger, I talked so much. It was an impulsive talking, the type of
Yeah.
talking where I talk over everyone else
Mhm.
because I intuitively thought I knew what they were going to say. So, just let's not waste any time.
Right.
Right? So I would just talk. I was nervous all the time. I constantly talked. And my parents were always telling me to shut up, that I talked too much, that I had a
Mhm.
motor mouth. And all my friends were the same. They were like, you're always talking. You just don't shut up. And I was so self-conscious about it. I tried
Mhm.
so hard. I tried to do days of silence. I tried to
Right.
do like, just biting my tongue. I would bite through my
Aw.
tongue trying to be quiet. And I think now it's probably ADHD. But at the time, I thought there was something super wrong with me, and people
Right.
hated me because I talked all the time. I was annoying, and I was desperate, and I was
Right.
clingy, and these were my nicknames. It was there's
But it's like
Eileen.
nobody ever asked you why, right? I mean,
Nope.
nobody ever helped you like understand what was happening. Because I mean, I'm a talker too, so I completely relate, and I still do it. Like I'll go to my parents' house and I'll just be like, "Oh my gosh, I am so sorry, but I think I just talked for an entire hour. Like, what is happening?" But like,
Yep.
I think that they're, especially like you said, you were younger. For
Hmm.
me, for me, when I talked a lot when I was younger, I was putting pressure on myself to like have the answers, to be the person that, was the supporter, to
Mm.
make up for awkward energy in the room if like other people weren't talking, like I'm gonna like jump in and make it more comfortable for everybody, like,
Gotcha.
and talk or something. And maybe, for everybody it's different. And I know what you were saying is that it was like maybe more of an ADHD, like an actual, brain
It was
chemistry
definitely trauma based. I would just
and trauma. Yeah.
I would repeat the trauma stories, and people are
Right.
like, this had nothing to do with what we were talking about. And I just
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't see it, right? So,
Right.
you know, it took me a really long time to get to a point in my life where I stopped talking
Mm-hmm.
as much. I still talk, obviously. I'm here doing a podcast.
Right.
But going into doing a podcast where I had to embrace this flaw,
Right.
this thing that all the people I loved the most in my life literally pointed out, you talk too much, you're annoying, you need to be
Mm-hmm.
quiet. We don't
Right.
even want you to talk anymore. Like my parents would talk about sewing my mouth shut
Mm.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Like I hated that about myself, and then to
Right.
go into this and to talk was so nerve-wracking. I was so scared.
I see. Yeah, that
It
makes
would be
sense.
so
That
they
where
were
you're
afraid.
now you're using it as your power force,
Yep.
and yet you had to overcome the feeling, of
Yep.
the
Watching
past.
it back
But
was so hard. I'd be
that's
like, there I go again talking about myself.
isn't that the thing though? Like, don't you think it always seems to come full circle? Like
It
you
does.
end up doing something that
It
like you
is
like I was
always.
terrified when I was young. Like I would never have done a podcast when I was in my teenage years, or I was too concerned about
Congratulations.
I was afraid of what people are going to think of me, or like now it's just like you get older and you're like, I don't
Decaf.
like, yeah, you care and you don't. You know what I mean? It's like you let go of the things that just you've been through enough in your life to know that there's some really important things and then there's some really not important things. Like,
Yep. You only
you
live
know,
once. Hey, why not?
right? Like it's just like everything else goes out the window. It's like if I can help somebody, listen, I'm going to put that first, like,
Absolutely.
and hopefully
Haters gonna
that,
hate.
oh, definitely. I
Yeah.
get so much hate on my Instagram. Like it's kind of dialed down,
No
but I'm sure
way.
it'll rev back up. But yeah, oh yeah, like this
How?
is
How? You're
this is
like the
so
nicest
ugly. This
person.
is blah blah blah. Like I'll get like, yeah, the haters that are like, I wouldn't, ew, this is so tacky. And then like, yeah, it's crazy the things I'll get. Like, and it's just because I have, my followers are up or whatever, compare, people get insecure
Mm.
that's just the way it is. I've seen like on like the Kardashians page, it's like every other like comment,
I
it's like
know.
people fighting. Like I feel like, when there's a particular energy or vibe that's out there, like
Yeah.
there's gonna be a polar thing going on, you
I'm
know?
just going to say this for everyone listening. If you want to spread that kind of toxicity, just know I will be deleting your comment for my own mental sanity. So don't be like, I'm
Absolutely.
putting this out there. I have no problem with boundaries.
Absolutely.
I have no problem deleting your SHIT. And if your stuff feels like an attack on my show or me or my guests, you will be deleted.
Absolutely. Like I have a filter on my Instagram where nothing even gets through it probably anymore, because it's always like, it like
Good
automatically filters out the negativity. I'm like, yay, I have an automatic filter. I'm good.
Boundaries, so important
It's so
for mental
important.
health.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
nobody talks about this, but there are so many influencers and YouTubers who have self-harmed and hurt themselves and tried to die because of cruel things being said to them, because of criticisms. And I think we as people, as human beings, watching other human beings living their lives, we need to be conscientious that those human beings have, oh my gosh, feelings.
Yeah, it's like sometimes with technology, it's like you can be so separate from, the situation that you almost like, it's almost like you don't think it's real or something, but like it's all real, like
we're humans, and a lot of us put on a brave face.
Yeah.
But I mean, words, sticks and stones, but also words hurt, like, you can say sticks and stones may break my bones, but the truth is words do hurt. In fact, emotional abuse is harder to heal from than physical abuse. That has been shown in domestic violence studies.
Yes.
Over the last 15, 20 years, they have found that emotional abuse is more damaging than even physical abuse at this point. So we as a society need to be mindful. And even you and I were talking about before the show, people pushing, their political agendas on other people, like whether you believe in mass or you don't believe in mass, let's all just let other people do what they're going to do, and you do what you need to protect yourself.
Respect is a huge thing. I've heard that growing up. I was always like, well, what is respect? You know what I mean? Like
treat others the way you want to be treated.
Right. But it's not even that. It really is about having boundaries. And saying, listen, here's where I start and you end. You know what I mean? Like there is a clear boundary. Like I know in a lot of spiritual practices, it's all about oneness. Let's weave our energy together.
No, thank you.
For
certain things,
all mesh. And so there's a time and place for that. But in this physical world, there is a beginning and there is an end, and we have to respect that, and that's, not just about life, like the circle of life, because I feel like I just said the circle of life, but really the beginning of an end to someone else's energy. And you're allowed to say no, like even energetically, like you're allowed to say, I don't really like what you're doing. So it's not for me. It's not in my, this is not going to be allowed in my space. I've had different situations with the trauma in my past where I even have now been able to develop an energetic, like bound, like where I can feel when they're hitting it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you hit my energy in an awkward way. Like,
that's actually one of the foundations I teach. And I taught it at the beginning of my podcast in like season 1, episode 3 or something. I taught about boundaries and how to create a shield, an energetic shield.
Awesome.
But more than that, and maybe I need to revisit this because this really is so important. No matter where you are on your spiritual path, if you don't have grounding, you don't have centering, and you don't have boundaries, you got nothing. You have no spiritual practice.
You can't harness the energy unless you have a clear beginning point and end point to your own field. You cannot harness any of the spiritual power that you need to hold in your own space if you can't. And honestly, it's learning how to say no.
Yep.
That it's a mental learning how to say no to situations, even if it's your family or your friends. Like, it's about, do not let yourself be guided by obligation. That's
Yep.
one of the ways you can strengthen your energy, is I'm going to say no to this because it makes me feel uncomfortable. I am drained. I am tired. I need to regather my own self. I
You are
can't
not
be in that
responsible
kind
for
of
other people.
environment. Right. Like, it's right. It's not your responsibility to make somebody else happy just by showing up. If you're drained and you're too drained to be in that particular situation, you need to take time for yourself. Like, that is a way to build your energy, is to
So
allow yourself to be able to guard
absolutely.
your own energy.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I'm 100% with you on that. I know that I thought I had a spiritual practice like early on in my journey. I was like, yeah, look at me. I got an altar. I'm like sitting here
Yes.
and I'm doing meditation. But really, I noticed my journey didn't even start until I learned how to ground. Like,
Yeah,
grounding was
absolutely.
the first thing. It cleared my mind. There were no mind chatter, no thoughts, no talky crap in my head. I didn't
Yes.
even know that was possible. I was like,
Yeah.
all these voices, this was not normal. And my teacher who taught me how to ground, she was like, no, you should not have, you should be quiet in your
Yeah, you
head.
should not have two voices telling you
Or 50.
yes or no, or yeah.
There
Like,
should
I
be
know,
no,
like when
no
I was a kid
talking.
growing up, I was always like, should I do this? Yes or no? Like, it was always this black and white thing. Like,
Yep.
they were always at battle.
Yep.
Like, I never
See,
felt like I could,
I had an
until I
entire
got grounded.
orchestra. I had an orchestra of
Yes.
voices. And
Right.
I would just pick out little things every so often. I had no idea what was going on. I just thought everybody's head was like that. And then
I did
when I
too.
learned to ground, it went from like right to
Yeah.
being
Right. And part of that is learning about how there's not a right way and a wrong way. Like, it's not just one or the other. It's not
mhm.
just what one person says that is close to you versus your own feelings. It's
Yep.
not, it's about the fact that there's an infinite possibility of ways that you could go about something. Find the way that works for you, right?
Everybody's different.
Yeah, like,
Everybody's
you
different.
can't just watch social media or
No.
the news and then think, I'm going to do it that way because that way was successful for that person. That is not the way to do it.
I
Like,
actually
you can
talked
get
about that in
tips
the podcast. I was
and
like,
tricks.
I'm gonna
Right.
give you
See, we're
guys
all on the same page then.
I'm gonna give I was like, I'm gonna give you guys three different grounding practices, three different shielding
Yes.
practices. Try these out, take what works, leave what doesn't. But
Right.
if you have any
Yeah.
trouble, hit me up personally. Like, book a
Yes.
session with me because everybody's different. I will help you find what works for you
That
because
must be the energy I'm tapping into right now.
it is 100%. I know
That's
everybody's
awesome.
different because what my teacher initially taught me felt so hard. I felt like I had to try. And
Mhm.
then one day it clicked and it
Yeah.
became effortless. It just, oh my
Mhm.
gosh, I was making it so much harder than it needed to be. I just have to like
Absolutely.
touch the
Yeah.
floor and breathe into the floor. I didn't
Yeah.
realize it was that easy. And the shield, like,
Hmm.
it felt so stupid when I started. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
God, I'm making this like shield thing. Oh, it's like, what's this really gonna do? But
Hmm.
as I did it daily over several months, I
Yeah.
realized people started, if I said no, they didn't push me, they didn't try and
Right.
force me. I was
Yeah.
like, this is so bizarre. Everything was quiet. I didn't have this mind chatter anymore. My emotions were really balanced. I had never
Hmm.
had that before.
That's
My
awesome.
entire persona changed in a matter of months
Wow.
because I added grounding, centering. Centering is literally assimilating all your energy into your core, making sure you are all assimilated in
Yes.
center. And then the shield, creating that shield around yourself and
Hmm.
doing that every day just for a handful of months to create that physical habit that your body craves.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, that was a life-changing event for me, was learning those practices and doing them.
Absolutely.
And I think if you don't have that, you don't you don't have anything. If you can't
Agree.
differentiate your
Mm-hmm.
energy from the next person, if you can't
Absolutely.
differentiate your thoughts
Yeah.
from the people coming through,
Mm-hmm.
you don't know who you are. You don't know what your mission is. Anything
Yep.
can influence you. That
Especially,
energy
yeah,
being that walks through your bedroom at night, he could
right,
literally be implanting thoughts, feelings,
right.
intentions into your body you would never even know.
Well, and especially people who are empathic.
Mm-hmm.
I still even struggle with, I'm very empathic, and I'll still even struggle with knowing, okay, am I feeling sad right now because somebody near me is, or
Yep.
or is this mine? And so I have to get really focused,
I use Reiki in
to-
those moments.
awesome. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. That has helped too, because if I become Reiki, I can hold my own space. If
Right.
especially when you have somebody, I know I learned with Reiki, that we are all just vibrations, and we're all kind of clamoring for the loudest, right?
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
if you become Reiki and you have somebody throwing a fit, right, across the room, and they're just doing a fit, and you're just holding
Hmm.
your Reiki space, and you're just intending to be the strongest pillar in the room, that person's going to forget why they're throwing a fit, because you're just
Right.
holding that vibrational space that they aren't going to be able to rival it. And it's not
Right.
pushing your energy towards them. It's not forcing
No.
you on
Mm-mm.
them. It's holding
No,
your
you're
own
just
ground.
right. Yep.
Hmm.
And not having attachment sometimes, I mean, being attached, but not being attached. You got to know when to do what,
It's
but
having compassion. It's
yeah,
like
absolutely.
brutal compassion, because it's like, I have compassion for you over there,
Hmm. Yeah.
but I need to protect my own energy, my own
Right.
moods, my own,
Yeah.
how I feel.
Hmm.
Speaking of grounding,
Yeah.
did you want to go ahead and collaborate a nice grounding
Yeah.
meditation and chant for the listeners to end this
Absolutely.
episode?
Absolutely. Yeah. Did you want me to go ahead and start? And
Yeah, yeah.
okay. So go
And
ahead and everybody close your eyes and then just start to feel your body, your physical body. And if you can, if are in a warmer climate, or if the weather is nice, go outside right now. Even if you can listen while you're outside, um, lay on the earth or sit on the earth near a tree. And I want you to just take 3 deep breaths first, and just really get centered and relax your energy, and start to feel really connected to your physical body. Feel your physical body against the earth, against the chair that you're seated in, or against the ground that you're laying on. And I want you to just try to feel every cell in your body. With every breath that you take, you're feeling heavier and heavier. Let the energy of the gravity of the earth pull you in closer to her. Feeling the pull and the pulsation of the earth's energy, filling your body. Wrapping the earth around every cell in your body, the energy of the healing vibrations that the earth has to offer you. It's a strength, a strong, pulsating energy. Feeling every part of your body just getting heavier and heavier and heavier. The force of the earth pulling, Feel that force of the earth pulling. Try to feel the left side and the right side of your body equaling out. Equaling out and balancing with each other. And you can do this by focusing in on a point on your left shoulder and your right shoulder. Feeling those 2 points balancing with each other. And also feeling the pull of the earth at the same time. Those 3 points, the center of the earth pulling you closer to her body, making every cell in your body heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier. Well, you also focus on these 2 points on the right side and the left side of your body. Balancing your energy. And now focusing on 2 more points on your hip bones. I'm going to take our focus to the hip bones. A left point on the left side of your body and a right point on the right side of your body. Directly at your hip bones. The left hip bone and the right hip bone. Feeling those 2 sides becoming balanced. Sometimes there's this sense that one side is maybe a little bit heavier or a little bit lighter, which is okay, except that right now you're focusing on them feeling exactly the same and almost kind of like a pulsating cyclical energy that's connected deep into the earth, rooting you. And every time you breathe, every cell in your body is becoming heavier and heavier and heavier, more and more deeply rooted and connected to the earth. Taking deep breaths. Feeling the base of your spine very securely rooted into the center of the core. Magnetic energy of the earth. The gravity is pulling you closer and closer as your body feels heavier and heavier. And also becoming more and more balanced. Letting any energy that no longer serves you melt away and feed the earth. If you have pain in your body, tension, feeling it drawn into the earth feeds on the energy of your body. And you're feeding on the energy of the earth's body. It's a cyclical relationship. Balancing you out. Still having some awareness of those points on your shoulder, the left and the right side of the body, and the hip bones, the left and the right side of the body, kind of just bringing everything into balance. And you don't have to completely have an awareness even that this is happening, or that you are able to completely focus your mind. You just have to mainly feel your connection with the earth, the base of your spine, and every cell in your body deeply rooted to this gravitational pull, feeling heavier and heavier, melting away your stress and your tension and your physical pain. If you need to give a little stretches here and there in your physical body to help release, your attention deeper into the earth. There's no good or bad energy. There are just different frequencies. And all of them are valid and important. All of the energies that we carry throughout our life are either lessons, which is always comes back to gifts. Every energy in life is a gift on some level. And when you root yourself deeply into the earth and your cells on these levels, you can feel the energy of gratefulness vibrating through every cell of your body. Gratefulness for your life, the life force of your body. And now we're going to go ahead and, as you hold your mind and your body in this really rooted, grounded space, do a chant to help you further awaken your cells and vibrate the energy through to more clear the channel of connection between your spiritual guidance and your physical body. And so just allowing the sound vibrate through you and vibrate those cells, open up the channels to clear the energy so that you know, I can live without this pain in my body. I can be connected and rooted into the earth, opening yourself to that feeling through the sound of the chants. And just allowing that energy to help open you and connect you more deeply to the earth's vibration. Clearing your energy, rooting you, connecting you. And taking 3 deep breaths and slowly coming back and feeling the room, awakening. Slowly opening your eyes. Feeling like you're coming back, feeling more connected. Renewed.
Thank you so much for that. That
Thank
was
you. Thank
so
you.
lovely. I definitely got to the I like to call it the void where you just kind of
Yes.
lose time and space and awareness of all. I found that space. I was like, oh, this is so relaxing. So thank
Yeah,
you.
it was amazing. Yeah, it's amazing to be able to collaborate on something and be able to do, bring both our energies into bringing healing to people. It's great.
I really appreciate you inviting me in
Yeah,
to do that. It means a lot.
absolutely.
And I just want to let everyone out there who is listening know we did no rehearsals. We have simple podcast
Yeah.
equipment. There is no studio equipment. So please
No
be
fancy sound
forgiving.
equipment. Yeah.
Be forgiving for any of
Right.
that. Um,
All about the vibes.
just the vibes. That's all we had to go off of at this point.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, it has been such a pleasure to have you on,
Yeah.
Chakuna. I would love for you to share with the listeners where they can find you, where they can find your music,
Yeah.
and even your moon boxes. And I will be sure to add all those links down
Yes.
below in the descriptions.
Yeah. Awesome. You can go to chakuna.com. It's www.chakuna, chakuna.com. That's my website where I link to all of, my music and my information. And also, I am very active every day on my Instagram page, which is Crystal's Om Chakras. And I'm sure you'll get that link below. So, but I post daily there my jewelry that I hand make, my energy jewelry, and different chants, that I do, just kind of like on the spur of the moment, I'll get, channel chants. And so I put those up there. And
A
also,
woman of many talents, I see.
yeah, so you can see all of that on my Instagram and connect with me there. Yeah.
Well, it was such an honor to have you on. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for sharing your process, for sharing your
absolutely.
chanting, your journey, and obviously sharing the wonderful gift that is your meditation and live
Thank
chanting
you.
with all the listeners. I hope that we can collaborate again in the future. And
Absolutely. It's been a total honor on my part to be here. So I appreciate anytime that you want me on. That's cool. Thank you.
absolutely, I will be bringing you back. I will.
Awesome.
Well, I hope you listeners out there enjoyed this as much as I did because I had a hoot. And I am just so grateful you guys keep tuning in every week, keep inspiring more growth in yourself, that you guys are doing the practices. You're giving all these different techniques and applications of spiritual gooey goodness Thank you for applying it to your life, for trying it out, for listening to these insights and these revelations that we are sharing here on Rainbows Rising. And I just ask that you guys go and share the show with others, write reviews, and I would appreciate it if you joined my Patreon, but hey, I love you guys no matter. Just showing up for yourself is enough for me. I really appreciate each and every single one of you. And I hope to see you back next week where we will continue to ascend together. Have a good day, guys. Bye. Are you ready to ascend to the next level? This is Rainbow Raaja, your spirit guide calling. Please be sure to keep all arms and legs inside your vessel at all times. I'm just here to remind you to take some time today. Support Rainbows Rising podcast. Go. Join the Discord community. Check out the Patreon. Get some stickers, custom tarot cards. Check out the merch. The merch. You know you want to. Go connect with Rainbow Raaja. Maybe even get a session. Who knows? Your support helps make this show possible. And she loves to support you. Help support her too. Once again, this is Rainbow Raaja, your spirit guide, guiding you to your ascension.